friends in Christ. In this video, we shall be understanding the significance of the parable of the wedding feast. This parable is found recorded in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 to 14. Jesus often compared the kingdom of heaven to a great banquet. In this parable, the king represents God and the son represents Christ. The king had invited many guests, that is, the Jews. But most Jews did not believe that Christ was the Messiah, the Son of God. Therefore, they refused to come to a banquet in his honor. The king, with great patience, sent his servants 2 times to call the guests, but still they refused to come. Not only did they refuse to come, but they also mistreated the servants who invited them. The servants represent Christ's disciples, whom the Jews persecuted. The king therefore destroyed those murderers and burned their city. This was a prophecy of the destruction of Jerusalem, which was fulfilled 40 years after Jesus' death. In 70 AD, the Roman army came and destroyed Jerusalem and all the Jews living in it. Because most of the Jews rejected God's invitation to Christ's banquet, God then invited the Gentiles. The servants went and called all kinds of people to the banquet, both good and bad. They invited tax collectors and prostitutes, outcasts and sinners. They gathered all the people they could find. There were wheat and weeds together. There were good fish and bad fish in the same net. But one guest had no wedding clothes. The wedding clothes represent righteousness, that is, the righteousness of Christ which we put on by faith. All who come to the banquet must be clothed in Christ's righteousness. The one guest without proper wedding clothes represents all those who have not truly believed in Christ and put on his righteousness. They are the bad guests mentioned in verse 10, the weeds, the bad fish. Even though they have come to the king's house with all the other guests, they may not sit down to eat. They will be thrown out. For many are invited or called, but few are chosen. The gospel of Christ is preached to all men, and many hear Christ's call. They come at first. They say Christ's gospel is pleasing. They may agree with it, but in their hearts they do not fully give their lives to Christ. They come to Christ's wedding banquet to partake of all the tasty food, that is, the blessings of Christ. But they are not prepared to stay and be servants of Christ. They are not prepared to give up their sinful lives. They are not prepared to come out of their comfort zones. So, these people are not chosen. Christ's servants must be chosen.